Welcome to episode 3 of the Hooked, Stitched and Glued Crochet podcast. I'm Karen and I'm coming to you from Lincolnshire in the east of the UK, where I live with my husband and 2 children. I'm a crochet designer, maker and pattern tester and tech editor, and you can find me on Instagram at Hooked, Stitched and Glued. Today is Halloween, so I've just taken the children to school. It's their first day back after half term, and normally I'd film my podcast on a Thursday, which is my normal day off work, but half term last week was just manic, so I'm making the most of the peace and quiet today to come and chat to you about all of my projects. So grab yourself a cuppa and come and see what I've been up to. My first work in progress that I want to talk to you about is my knitted cardigan. It lives in this rather smart Harry Potter project bag. Last time I showed you it, I just started the rib and done the first couple of rows. I've kept it to one side as my working on whilst on hold project because I've had to make a lot of phone calls and a lot of them have been on hold for sort of half an hour or so each time, so I've just put my phone onto speaker and waited and knitted. So I've got all of the rib section done and just started 3 rows of stocking stitch. The rib actually looks nicer on camera than it does in real life. It's a pattern by West Yorkshire Spinners and it has a colourwork yoke, so I'm itching to get to the colourwork section. That was the reason why I chose this pattern. I'm all the way down here. I'll just show you the pattern picture. So I'm here. I think I've got a lot of knitting to do before I get to the yoke, but I'm thinking even a couple of rows a day will get me there eventually, won't it? There's 243 stitches per row, which feels like an awful lot, but yeah, now I'm on the stocking stitch section and it's on a larger needle. I'm hoping that it'll progress a little bit faster, and the thought of getting to the colourwork and the fun bit is keeping me motivated. I'm going to be doing the colourwork in this gold, which I think contrasts really nicely with the grey, so that'll be something to look forward to. I have done a bit of colour work before, but never anything this complicated. So yeah, I don't think I'll show you this for a few more episodes because I suspect it's just going to be grey stocking stitch. So it might make a reappearance into the podcast when I reach the yoke. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with the progress I've made. Thank goodness for companies that don't answer the phone, hey? At least I've got the ribbing done and we're on a roll now. So I'll pop it away and show you it again at some point. My second work in progress is the granny square blanket. I've now joined 8 rows and it's too big for me to get out in here, so I will insert a photo for you to see what I've done. I have to say it is a really warm blanket, and I've got 2 more rows ready to join in. One set of blocking and one set are fully ready to go into the blanket, and so there's only 4 rows of squares left to make. And the other week I was having a really grumpy day. I just wanted a day off from doing chores and from dealing with house moving stuff and everything. So I just sat myself down on the sofa with my schematic for the blanket and my little basket of all the colours of wool, and I just made the middles for the rest of the squares. So they're all in here, and you can see that I've done round 2 as well on a few of them. That was a really nice day actually, the day I did that, because I just really chilled out and had a chance to just enjoy crochet and the mindfulness that it brings, and achieved something by getting all of these done. I've done the round 2 of the copper coloured squares as well. I haven't done any of the rest of them yet. My plan now is to do round 2 of every single square for the last 4 rows, and then round 3 and round 4. I was working just 1 row at a time, but I've reached a sort of impatient point, I think you'd call it, and I just want to get there and get it done. And I kind of feel like if I do all of them, so just get it all finished of each round and have all the squares ready to go, I can just kind of do a marathon joining session, and then it'll be time to start thinking about the border for it. I have got the blanket here. I'll just show you. It's too big to show the whole thing, but one of the edges, like the side edge, just try and find the side edge, I think it looks a bit wobbly. Oh, it's this one. I think it looks a little bit wobbly. I am hoping that when it comes to adding a border, that will kind of even out. I've been using the join as you go method, and that has been brilliant because it just keeps you motivated, and it's a little bit addictive, and you kind of go, well, I'll just join the next one, I'll just get the next one done, and before you know it, you've completed the row. I've used a tutorial on YouTube, which I will post the link for below because I can't quite remember who it was by. I want to say Patchwork Heart, but I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I think it was Hooked by Robin. I'm not sure. I'll post the link. But yeah, it was a really great and thorough tutorial. Even if you're a beginner, I think you could follow that. So I'd highly recommend using Join as you go. But yeah, every time I see this blue, do you know, I think this colour combination here with the copper, orange, red and blue is probably my favourite one out of the whole thing. And there are quite a few squares that have got that combination in them. But yeah. Oh, and the one with yellow. Oh, I like them all, actually. I can't really pick a favourite. Yeah, it's just such a nice, colourful blanket, and I'm really, really looking forward to having to think about borders. I've got the book, as an ebook, Around the Corner Crochet Borders by Edie Ekman. So I think I might have to dig that out and start thinking, and maybe have a look at some blanket borders on Instagram too for a bit of inspiration. If you've got an idea for a good border for a granny square blanket, let me know in the comments, because I can go and check it out then. And if you've made one and want to link to yours, that's fine too. Just give yourself a shout out and I'll go and have a look. So yeah, I'm going to pack this away, and that's my main project at the moment, and it's my evening sit down and crack on with it one. But what's nice about working the granny squares is you can kind of just pick up, especially at the point we're at with just doing round 1 and 2, each one only takes 2 minutes. So if I've just got a couple of minutes, I can soon whiz through them. So yeah, they're going back on the shelf in the living room, much to my husband's disgust, because I have got a whole craft room, but things gradually migrate into the living room too. But I keep that one in the living room, so it's just a pick up and get on with it project. So, right, we'll move on now to finished objects. I've only got one proper FO to show you today, but he is great fun, and he is called Devil Dexter, and he is made from a pattern by Pauline of Making Polly, and the pattern is out now. I was one of her pattern testers before the pattern got launched. I really enjoy making amigurumi things. I don't make them very often because the stitches being so tight and having to hold the yarn and use such a small hook often hurts my arm. I get repetitive strain injury quite easily, so I have to be careful. But when she put out the call for pattern testers and I saw him, I just knew that I really, really had to have a go, because he is just adorable. There were lots and lots of bits to make, as there often are with amigurumi. However, the instructions were so lovely and clear and detailed. It was really easy to follow, and just great fun. And there were some new techniques in there, which is always good, isn't it, when you do a pattern and you learn something new from it. One thing that I always say when I do amigurumi is don't sew in the ends when you've attached things like the horns or the feet. Don't sew in the ends until you're absolutely happy that it isn't wonky, unless of course wonky is what you're aiming for. But if you're not aiming for wonky, when you've pinned all the bits on, I use large headed pins as well, so nothing gets lost in the stuffing. Just don't sew in the ends, just like leave them hanging out the back. He had loads of strings hanging out of his back before I settled and was happy that he was put together right in a way that he deserved to be. So he's so cute. He's made his home on my porch windowsill with my woodland animals in my window display, and I think he will remain there for Halloween and possibly a little bit longer, unless he's kidnapped by my daughter. She chose the colours for him. So yeah, I highly recommend the pattern. Check out Pauline's Instagram, where you'll find the link to the pattern and his other friend. His friend has got 3 eyes and he's a rather cool looking creature. So you'll see both of those on her Instagram. Just follow the link below to find out more. So yeah, bye Dexter. This next thing that I'm going to show you is something that I am really proud of, because it represents to me a personal goal. So Hooked, Stitched and Glued as a business was launched in September last year with a few crochet patterns and a few items in an Etsy shop. And I took a tech editing course and decided that actually, as well as tech editing, I really wanted to do more designing, and I set myself a personal goal of having a pattern published in a crochet magazine. And this fella here, this badger, featured in issue 127 of Simply Crochet magazine in their Hook to Hook section. So I was so proud of achieving my goal, and he has now come back home to me, and I'm not even really sure what to do with him. I really don't know. He has a hanging loop on the back because it's meant to be crochet dermy, so essentially like taxidermy, like a stuffed animal head that you hang on a wall. Someone on my Instagram suggested that I crochet him a range of hats for the seasons, so that he's always done up like a seasonal wreath, but as a head. So like a little Santa hat, maybe some pretty little flowers for spring, and sun hat for summer, maybe some shades. I think that's a really nice idea. So yeah, that's something that I might consider doing, but I'll definitely be keeping him because it represents like all the work that I did to achieve that goal. So yeah, I'll put him away safely until I've made a final decision. But he's quite smart, isn't he? I think he's quite smart. I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we are getting ready to move house. I have no idea if or when that will happen, because the conveyancing process in this country is overcomplicated, to say the least. However, we have had quite a lot of fun sorting through boxes from the loft just to see what we're going to keep and what we are getting rid of, you know, that we don't need anymore. And I came across this book, and this book, I think I was maybe 7 or 8. It says it was published in 1989. I'll just show you it. I wonder if it's familiar to anyone. Anyone recognise it? The Osborne Book of Sewing and Knitting. I've just had a look at this. It's full of some absolutely cracking tips, even as a grown-up. I mean, I used to read this all the time and have a look at the projects in it. I'll show you one of the pages. One of the pages on the knitting page. It even tells you how to pick up your dropped stitches. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. I can't believe it. I was really chuffed when I found this, because I'd forgotten all about even having it. But yeah, it's like a forgotten treasure. I've even had a look at some of the sewing projects and gone, oh, I quite fancy having a go at that. I mean, back in the early 90s, when I'd have been bought this, there was no such thing as YouTube or anything. Like, you learned craft from your mum or your granny or someone, or from a lovely book that you got from Santa, which is where I got mine from. It's just, when you look at the illustrations there, you think, gosh, haven't things come on such a long way? It looks really old-fashioned, but I'm definitely keeping this, and I might even share it with my little girl, who is probably at the right age for having a go at some of these things. But yeah, have you ever had a book that you loved? Did you have this book? Let me know in the comments below. It was a corker. I was really chuffed when I found it. As well as following other people's designs, I design a few things myself, and I've got a new pattern coming out soon. It's actually going to be a free pattern to subscribers to my newsletter, and it is a beginner tapestry crochet project. So I'll just show you one of them. So it's a stag coaster in double knit yarn, and I don't know. Oh yeah, we've got the twinkle. This one is inspired by Harry Potter, and it is for my husband. I've just been trying my pattern out in lots of different colourways to make sure that I'm happy with it before I release it. One of the things that I try and do when I design patterns is make sure that they have something new in them, so that whoever is making it has a chance to learn a new technique, or if it's something that they've tried before, they might, you know, perfect it or learn something new. Because I'm a qualified primary school teacher as well. I don't really do that anymore. I work as a tutor now. But I kind of feel this need to teach things, so I always try and make something like with a tutorial video or detailed instructions, so that people, if they want to learn something new, can. So I'll just show you another colour combination. Just you know, don't adjust your set. This is the actual colours. So I've made it in neon pink and turquoise, and I love it. This one is for my craft room, and I added tassels just because, you know, tassels are fancy. Look, I've got a bit of a thing about tassels. They feature on a couple of my other patterns. So this pattern comes in like a little instruction booklet as well, with some hints and tips for tapestry crochet, and then you've got the pattern with a chart and written instructions. So if you've never followed a chart before, you can have a go at that. I'm hopefully going to be launching that later this week, so that it's in time for people who want to maybe make some as Christmas gifts. I'd say they take about maybe an hour to make in total, including the border. So they're quite a quick project to make up, and I thought they'd be something that, you know, if you've got Christmas Day, like a little table gift, you know, everyone can have a coaster and then they get to keep it, and you can make them in everyone's favourite colours, and it's just a really nice thing. So keep an eye out for that. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see when this launches. I've really enjoyed making this, and it's been tech edited by Munira of Chroma Crochet and tested by an absolutely wonderful team of testers whose work I will also show on my Instagram. So I'm really happy with the pattern, and tapestry crochet is definitely something that I'd like to do a bit more design with too. So yeah, keep an eye out and grab yourself the pattern when it's out. Thank you for joining me again for my podcast, or if you're new, thank you for joining me for the first time. Remember, if you've enjoyed watching, hit like and subscribe, because every little helps, and I will see you again soon with some more projects. Take care, bye!